Here's everything I'll be using to complete this job. I've got my rear differential cover gasket. I've got 8 pints of full synthetic 75 W140 gear oil with limited slip additive. I actually only need 6.9 pints, but they sell it in 2-pint size quantities, so there you go. We're going to need a breaker bar with a 3/8 adapter on the end of it so that we can loosen up the fill plug. I've got a 13 mil 1/2 inch socket for the torque wrench. I've got a 13 mil 3/8 inch socket for removing the actual cover bolts with this normal 3/8 drive ratchet. Torque wrench for torquing down the bolts to proper specifications at the end of the job. Scraper for removing any of the old gasket material from the housing or the cover. Gloves, safety goggles, towels. I'm also probably going to be using some brake clean to clean the cover once I pull it off. And then of course we'll need a pan to catch all of the gear oil. So that's what we're going to use, and I'll see you under the car. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to find your fill plug. It's on the driver's side of the differential. You want to make sure that you can crack this loose, because if you can't, you're going to have a very hard time putting gear oil back in if the plug won't come out. I've already broken it free a little bit with the breaker bar, so I'm just going to use a standard 3/8 ratchet to take it out all the way. So again, you always want to make sure that you can remove this first before you pull the cover off the back. Again, because if you can't put fluid back in, you're going to have a bad time. Alright, and she's free. Let's see if there's any oil that'll drip out here. Nope. Okay, so now that's out, put it off to the side, and we're going to move around to the back and remove the cover. I've moved to the rear of the differential, and what you want to do now is you want to place your pan underneath the differential, and you want to start cracking these bolts loose. Now I recommend that you do the bottom first so that you can get the fluid to leak out as you go. I'm going to use my breaker bar to crack them loose, and then I'll use a standard sized 3/8 driver to complete the job once they're all loose. Alrighty, they're all loose. So now I'm going to switch back to the standard 3/8 drive and remove them the rest of the way. Probably could use the power tool for this, but I got no problem using the hand tools. Put my bolts aside so I don't lose them. Nothing's dripping out yet, but I'm sure we'll get there. Getting a lot of some kind of, it's either gasket material or some kind of other material. Maybe they used you know, some caulking or something to put this back on here. Some RTV instead of using the actual gasket material. But we'll find out, sure enough. Now I'm going to leave this top one in just loose so that when I crack the cover off, it doesn't fall. It'll still hold the cover up, but it'll allow the fluid to drain out. Alrighty, all the bolts are out. Okay, all the bolts have been removed except for the top bolt up here. And I did that so that when I pry this cover apart here, I don't have the cover fall off. I may need to get a better prying tool than this scraper, but we'll see. I don't want to do any damage to anything by trying to pry it off in the wrong way. Alright, and we're back. I've got a sacrificial screwdriver that I reserved for just such an occasion. I'm going to get in here, some light taps with a hammer, get back in here behind this seal. This thing is really on here. There we go. And the fluid actually looks pretty good, which is nice. You know, unfortunately, I'm not the only person who's ever had this truck, so I don't know when the last service interval was on the back here, if ever. Well, clearly it has been serviced because the gasket is not factory. Alrighty, so we're gonna let this drip for a little bit, and then we'll come back to it. Okay, cover's removed, and I am actually shocked at how clean this mating surface is. Very little work to do here, believe it or not. I think the cover is where the majority of the work's going to be to remove the gasket material. But you know what? That's great, because it's a lot easier to take the cover to a workbench and work on it than it is to work on this under the truck. So we're gonna let this drain a little bit. Everything seems to be a-okay. I don't see anything. Of course, I'm not a mechanic, so you know, what do I know? But everything looks okay in here. I don't see any like chunks of metal floating around in there, so that's always good, right? So yeah, we're gonna let this drain for a little bit, get as much of this fluid out as possible while I go clean the cover, and hopefully by the time we come back, most of it will be drained out. Got the differential cover back inside the shop, so now I'm just going to use my rags, wipe out the interior, clean all the oil off, and then I'm going to clean up any of this leftover gasket material that's on here, like this stuff right here. And while I'm doing that, the truck's going to continue to drain, and then like I said before, hopefully this will be, by the time this is clean, the truck will be drained out. So here we go. Well, there you have it. Cleaned out the inside of the cover, got as much of the gasket material off as I could with some elbow grease and some brake clean, and now I'm going to go take it and put it back onto the truck, get it reinstalled, and hopefully get this all done before I lose sunlight. So I'll see you back under the truck. Okay, we are back under the truck, and you can hear my nice squeaky creeper. And what we're going to do is first we're going to line the gasket up with the back of the cover, which I'm doing off camera, sorry. There we go. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to line up the gasket with the cover, and then I'm going to start at the top of the cover and put one bolt in so that the cover is hanging by that bolt, and then I'll put in the rest of the bolts as we go. So it's really important that you make sure you don't get any kind of debris caught up in here. You want to make sure it's as clean as possible, you know, because the last thing you want is something to get caught up and rolling around in your differential and causing problems. So, also you want to make sure you clean the surface, the mating surface, really well before you do this, which I did off camera. And there we go. Get it in, get the bolt started so you can let it hang and give your arms a break. Alright, once you get that top bolt started, you're going to start taking your other bolts and place them where they belong in the holes. I'm going to put them all on loose, and then I'm going to come back and tighten them in a pattern similar to what you do with a lug nuts on a tire. You know what, I do believe it's getting dark enough. Probably looks fine on camera, but it's getting dark enough for my eyeballs that I'm gonna need a little light action. Alrighty. So like I said, I'm just putting the bolts back in manually at the moment. Get them in, get them snug, and then I'll come back and torque them to spec with the old torque wrench. Alright, so the reason you want to do the star pattern trick when you're putting this down is you want to put a nice even seal on it. You don't want to go nuts on one or two bolts and have the gasket misaligned or get crushed in one spot and throw off the other holes. You know, at least that's my theory. You know, you do what you want to do, but it makes sense to me. I'm sure I'll find somebody in the comment section that'll disagree with something I've done here. And you know what, that's okay. Okay, that didn't take very long. Now we'll take our trusty ratchet and we'll get them ratchet snug, and then I'll come back and I'll torque them after the fact. So like I said, I'm doing a little bit of a tire lug nut pattern. You know what, I should really get an extension bar. I bet you that would make this a lot easier, huh? I'm gonna go do that. Alrighty, back with an extension bar. Back with an extension bar. My star pattern kind of fell apart there. Okay, there you go. Got them all torqued down to the appropriate torque. Or I'm sorry, not torqued down, sorry. Got them all tightened, snugged, if you will. Not tightened all the way down. So now we're going to take our torque wrench, put our adapter on it. Now the spec for these bolts per the manufacturer is 35 foot-pounds. So we're going to set our torque wrench to 35 foot-pounds, which I'm doing now. And 30 and 5, boom. Torque wrench is set. Take our 13mm socket. I don't know why I put the adapter on here, but whatever, I already did. Take our 13mm socket. We're going to start to set the torque, which is actually pretty fun with when you're working under the truck like this. That one is crazy loose. Alright, now they all should be set and good to go. Let's do a quick spot check. Oh, that's why you recheck, folks. Could be problematic. Alrighty, and we're torqued. Now let's put in the fluid. Alrighty, time to fill up the rear differential with new fresh fluid. Now admittedly things are a lot less fun on this side of the vehicle because there's a lot less space to operate. Fortunately though, I've got these squeezy bottles here, and all I gotta do is pull the cap, pop the seal, pull the cap, pop the seal, cut the nozzle, stick it in, we are good to go. And I've got my oil pan positioned underneath just in case there's any spillage. But basically you just stick this jug up here and squeeze. goes. So if the calculations are right, I'll need roughly 3.5 of these guys. So the goal here is to fill this until you start to see fluid kind of dripping back out, and then you know you're good. Now that doesn't mean you should spill it everywhere and make it drip back out, because that won't be good either. Yep, see, don't do what I just did. Alrighty, that's one down. Bottle number 2 going in. Honestly, it took me longer to prepare this bottle than it did to actually dump it in, which is wild. Bottle number 3 is ready to go. Get the spout in there, and here we go. Got our last bottle here, and what we're looking for is for the fluid to start dripping back out. That's how we know we're full. I think we're there. Oh, yep, we're definitely there. It's coming out on its own now, so we'll just let it do its thing for a minute. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that to finish, take our drain plug. It's got a little magnet on it. I'm just going to clean up any of the crap that's on this drain plug. Good news is there wasn't too much shit on there, so I think we're in good shape. Clean the threads off. And there you go, nice clean drain plug. I keep calling it drain plug, sorry. Fill plug. Got it cleaned up. Take our drain plug, get it threaded back in there. There's a little bit of oil on the actual thread, so I'm not too concerned about threading it in there. Our 3/8 socket. Sorry, not socket, our 3/8 drive. Start putting it back in there and get it snug. That's probably snug, and give it one more little, you know, that little extra set. There you go. Job done.